Hello, everybody. Okay, we're going to do a brief sound blessing here. And this is to inspire healing from within. This, again, is not me offering anything. I'm not doing anything to you. This is just a channeling of bringing through God's infinite healing love and grace. And you get to decide where that grace needs to go. Okay, so let's take this time right now to close our eyes and take 3 deep breaths, centering ourselves in the heart.
Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Sound of Love Conference. Now we have Amma Lu. Hi.
Hello. Lovely to
Pew.
join you.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. Where are you now?
I'm in Portugal.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Amma Lu is a miracle worker and teacher of spiritual awakening. She received her gift in sound healing after healing herself from burnout and chronic illness. She is world renowned for her healing voice and blessings that inspire change and exponential inner growth. What have you been up to lately?
It's been a while, David. It's good to see you again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What you been doing?
So, just a lot of living, a lot of living, and a lot of witnessing of great transformation happening in the world for people. I'm sure we've all been feeling it, this collective wave of awakening that's happening, and many people being called to healing, and oddly enough, through the physical body. It seems that's tends to be a reoccurring trend for me. Constantly seeing clients who, they come with some kind of physical uh, condition that they're concerned about, and we can actually undo the creation of it through sound and awareness. So, how about you, David? What have you been
Oh boy,
noticing?
so we've got this guy showed up who's um, I talked about this in another presentation, but a guy showed up who's been uh, spending the last 40 years getting a curriculum for kids for reading into schools and been wildly successful. And he was in a Buddhist retreat and got that he was just supposed to help people. He's 75 right now, and so he's been mentoring me and coaching me on exactly how to get our program for kids into schools precisely. And this other woman showed up who's a total psychic and has been getting downloads on exactly how to get the curriculum. She had a school for the sole purpose of kids, and she's like helping as well. So we have this whole team of helping change the whole curriculum for kids on the planet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been really involved in that and excited. Yeah, and then yesterday I've mentioned that on here I've got blood clots and probably from COVID, and I got a diagnosis, and the doctor said that there's like a 50% chance it'll come back and keep coming back, so I need to be on blood thinners, and it just really upset me. I wanted to kick her in the knee. It was ridiculous. It's like immediately I was like, okay. And she said, you have chronic DVT. And I'm like, I hate that word. You don't know my friends. You don't know, Amma Lu here. You don't know, I know all these people. We just had this woman that was working on cancer and getting rid of it with sound like every time, right? I mean, to put people in that fear. I mean, they could say, okay, this is what's going on from the test, but you have the potential to change this with your intention right now. That's what they should say, because when they put you in this fear state, that's what kills people right there. So I'm really having to work to like clear that. Of course, I'll be careful, and tune in as to what's right. And sometimes you got to do certain things, but goodness, it's really the whole mass consciousness is we can't heal ourselves. It's rampant on the planet. What do you think about that?
I think we do not talk about it nearly enough, or celebrate the miracles that regular people are having nearly enough.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and that's because we have, as a society, normalized suffering. And I'm going to say, well, you know my story, David, really well. That when I was in my early 20s, I was given the prognosis that I would have to be on beta blockers for the rest of my life, and that I wouldn't live to 40 because I had this heart condition.
perfect.
And
I'm so glad I said this. I mean, it's just perfect example.
it is. And as healers, you know you're a genuine healer when you walk this path, when you're given um, a a an experience like that in our life journey, where someone says, and someone of authority, a person in a white coat, that's
Right.
pretty big. Those are pretty powerful words for someone of authority to say, hey, this is what your life is going to look at. But then you get the choice, and we always have the choice to decide, is that really the timeline I want? Right? Is that really the choice that I resonate with? And I wasn't awake at the time. At the time I had a heart problem and I was 24 years old. I was in the doldrums of corporate America. I was working my butt off. That's all I cared about, was making a good living and surviving. That's like what we're programmed to do. I derived my sense of worth from how busy I was and how well I did in my career. And that was it for me. And that's what was killing me. And I remember, going home, and I didn't have any tools available to me, not the kind of tools I have today, like sound and meditation. But I went home and just went quiet to really think about what the doctor told me. And thankfully, I had a moment of meeting myself and meeting my inner truth. And that inner truth said, I'm rejecting this. I'm rejecting this reality. I'm not done here. I'm not ready to go. I'm just starting. I want to live. I want to live as long as I possibly can, because there's things I want to create and that I want to affect. I want to actually make a difference in this world. And it was that difference. It was that inspiration that came out of nowhere to make a difference. That's what saved me. It wasn't anything else. It was just deciding that I'm not done. I'm not giving up. I want to live, and I want to know what living is like. What is that? What is true love? What does loving life really mean?
Right.
And we know as healers, and we must go through, and this is the initiation we all go through. We must meet incredible pain and even death. We must meet that, the idea of death and the loss of life, in order to truly see, our true worth that isn't derived from how busy we are. Okay.
Yeah.
That isn't derived from other things we think we need to be and to accomplish and to prove. It's not about that at all. It's about what's true deeply inside the soul. Where are we loving? Where are we loving and not loving? Right. And I really came to that awareness, thankfully, very gratefully, early on. And that led me to, of course, the path that I have been on, and the being that I am today as someone who is helping thousands of people heal from the inside out now. We're here to be victorious. When someone else says you can't, that is a black magic spell. They're literally giving you an option, painting a picture of a timeline that exists. Okay, it exists in existence itself, in consciousness, and they're saying, here's a consciousness that I think is appropriate for you. And what we must remember is that we, as beings of consciousness, always get to choose, and we are never, ever beholden to the loss of that choice. We always get a chance to choose, because that's love. That's love and mercy at work. God is a merciful force of nature, okay, and always loving. And we need to remember that.
So I've got a thing to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if we had all the money in the world, which, things are changing so that there are people that are funding everything. I mean, there's the consciousness on the planet. So people with billions and trillions of dollars are now actually going, we really need to help people. So I'm imagining and setting a timeline, because I can't quite visualize it yet. Maybe you can help me here. A new medical system where you go into the doctor maybe, or just get an email, and they say, okay, this is what's going on, but here, you now need to go and do this meditation on loving yourself and setting your intention to overcome this, because the problem is not that you've got a disease. The problem is that you haven't set your intention to see it completely gone and to go beyond and do what you're meant to do in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, seriously, you know what I mean? To actually visualize a real hospital. Because I thought, okay, I was just thinking recently, if I had all the money in the world, I would buy out all the pharmaceutical companies. Just give them all the money they need to, and so they would go away. I mean, use them where they need to be used, right? Maybe there's still things that's helpful for, and then there's things that doctors do that can be cool, but really start visualizing and piecing together a new hospital. I mean, it was the basis of hospitals in the beginning. The first hospital was a scene in nature in Greece. It was a whole garden, right? And to really get it back to a healing center. So it's so interesting because the consciousness on the planet is so ingrained in this, it's hard to even visualize this in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But this is what we have to visualize and make.
Yeah.
What's the new healing system that's going to be? I mean, a lot of it's going to just be people healing each other and themselves.
Well, a lot of it too is space. You know, the body, as we know, it all starts in the mind. Everything that is created in the body and shows up in the body as a negative starts in the mind. And the body can heal itself. It's designed to. It has all the equipment to heal itself quite well, effectively, and rapidly beyond any pharmaceutical assistance. And even surgical assistance. I will say that. I've seen bones repair itself. However, the body can only do that if given the right conditions. And that's where space, the field needs to change. That's the thing that actually needs to upgrade, and not necessarily the structures themselves. You know, we've got plenty of buildings. You speak of hospitals. Those are very big buildings with a lot of rooms that can really assist a lot of people. But if you look at the creation of a hospital, when that was created, and for what reason, you know, it was all due to germ theory. And when infections and germs, plagues came into the fold, before we didn't need hospitals, we didn't have them. And that's because we lived in harmony with the earth itself. We lived and we created space, a field, okay? And I'm going to get into sound here soon, but a field that is resonant with the earth frequency. Our body is made of earth. Our body is supposed to resonate and harmonize with the earth frequency. And when it is in a complete harmony with the earth, it's well. It's well, it's immune, it's strong, it's resilient, and it doesn't need any outside of assistance. It doesn't need a drug or anything else. It really has its full capabilities turned on. So before we even had hospitals, we had resonance. We had fields of resonance. And that's because this is my, speaking from past life memory now, my awakening journey has very much been about remembrance. And my past life memories of Atlantis and Lemuria, especially in Lemuria, we created fields through sound fields that were impenetrable to any kind of negative energy, black magic, sorcery, okay, that sort of thing that would cause mass illness and harm to the human body and psyche, being one and the same. So sound fields, we need to return to that. And
okay, let's do it. You ready to do it? Ready to
Absolutely,
do it?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here for it.
Okay, let's switch over our sound here. Okay, the sound field connected, the sound of the earth.
How are you feeling, David?
Excellent. So, what is your presentation on today?
This frequency that heals all things. And
Love?
absolutely. It's love.
Oh.
Love, yes, love without the romanticization of it, though. Love beyond the
Uh-huh.
concept.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
It's interesting because, songs about love are often in a minor key, which is about sadness. And
Mm.
love has nothing to do with sadness.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's we. There's no sadness there.
Love is pure light, and it's our saving grace. And if there's a message today about it, it really is about remembering that um, it is through love that we become victorious. It is through love that we remember we have choice always in every moment. And it is through love that we heal ourselves and each other. In this space of love, we can create. We can create, and we don't need much to do that. We don't need all the money in the world, actually. We just need to remember. We need to remember how to access the sacred power within ourselves. And when we can do that, we can change anything for the right reasons, right? For purpose, the purpose that's within the soul, within our spirit. This is what our ancestors have prayed for every time. Every time we've suffered from mass extinction and massacres and horrible, incidences in our Earth history. Every time we, in our past lives, and our ancestors that have lived before, prayed for this time that we're in now, where we would be the answer. We would show up, claim our victory, and be the answer. And that's what we're here to do. I believe everyone is a healer. You and I are teachers. There are those of us who are chosen to really wake up in a big way and remember our gifts and remember the lost knowledge and the wisdom of how to heal. And so we have this purpose of sharing that with others to help them remember and help them activate and their healing gifts. We all have a healing gift, and it can be utilized at this time where so many people are really suffering, and they're really, if they're coming into themselves, not focused on the outer, right? Not seeking solutions outside of themselves all the time, but if they really bring it in, okay, and they can hear their own voice of truth, then they will be called to this great adventure, this great journey of awakening and remembering who we truly are as spirit. We're completely boundless once we tap in to our spiritual essence. It is supernatural. It is lightness. It is expansion. And that expansion can be brought into this physical vessel. And this is it. This is what sound, can open the doorways to. And we don't need anything outside of ourselves for it. This is what I really wish, people would remember. We constantly seek it outside of ourselves. We seek the authority, someone to tell us, or someone to validate us, someone to love us, someone to accept us. But that's us constantly seeking the drug, the pill, the solution outside, externally. But this, the real healing happens when we switch our focus inward. That doesn't mean to be introspective. It doesn't mean to, be depressed.
not connect with the world. Is still connect,
right. Exactly. It just means our focus turns to the soul. It turns to the soul as the guiding light. Okay, it lets the soul lead, and we are guided by an internal knowing versus an external opinion.
I love it. So let's do the sound of love before you begin.
The sound of love. Okay.
We can do it together.
All right. Let me switch my microphone here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'll let you begin.
Okay. Let's see who wants to come through. Thank you.
All right. We'll begin your presentation now.
Thank you, David. So wonderful to connect with you again.
Yes, you too.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. My name is Amma Lu, and we are going to speak a little bit, just a little bit, about the frequency of love. And I just say a little bit because this love, that which is the love that comes from the infinite all-knowing, that connects all of us to each other,
That really is each other, who we are at the core of humanity, at the core of soul and spirit. This cannot be talked about. Words cannot really share the true meaning of what love truly is. And what I will do for this hour that we have together is convey my own story about love and how this came to be my life's work and mission with God, and how this expresses through sound, and how we are being called to be pure, clear conduits for the healing sound of God to come through us. So I've learned that true healing comes from the infinite. It comes from pure love. And we do not know, as humanity, we do not know what love is. We don't come in to this incarnation, into this body, with a definition of what love is. We come in as love. We express it naturally through our heart fields. We emanate it, we radiate it. It is light. So when we say light and love, that's the true meaning of light and love. It's the light inside of us. It's the love that we inherently are, that flows from our divine source. This is an infinite flow. It is an inexhaustible energy. It's universal life force energy that animates all of life. Everything that we see that is alive, the birds, the trees, your cat and your dog, the neighbor that you find annoyance with, that being too is of love. We all come from love, and we tend to forget. We tend to forget that there is this invisible kind of substance that permeates everything, that connects us to everything. It connects us to the one that we are. And it is pure. It is untampered with. It can't be tampered with, but it can be covered. And this is what we tend to do with our minds. We tend to cover this love. We cover our shine, our brilliance, our light. And the mind is very clever in that it engineers so many ideas and preconceptions of everything, especially what love is. It has its own ideas about what love is. And so we're automatically entrained, by each other and the world and our family and our own opinions and judgments about ourselves and what love is. And when we keep believing in that, then we lose, our true selves as love, and we kind of wander further and further away from the truth of what love is. So this love, it heals all things. It's the frequency that caused all of the spontaneous healing that I've gone through, and the spontaneous healings, speaking to the body, okay, cellular healings, actual physical healings, as well as emotional releases, healing of the heart, healing of the soul. All of this is one and the same. And healing happens when love is able to touch into our pain. Okay. So some teachers talk about the pain body, and this is the energetic biofield, okay, that our body emanates. And in pranic healing, we can actually sense and track where the injured and weakened prana is, and it's weakened and injured by a mistruth, okay, and something that isn't true. I just simply call it the lie. And the lie
is what creates like a shield around us and our biofield. Our biofield is meant to really live and breathe quite freely and harmoniously with everything else, with the whole world around us. And when it's, living and breathing in complete harmonic flow with everything else, meaning we're all synced up, right? We're all syncing up. Then this is where we experience synchronicity. This is where we experience what we call manifestation, where things just tend to materialize before your eyes that are really meant for you. And they come in quite quickly for you. And it just feels like a complete blessing when they come in because it is completely meant for you. And that is the universe. That's how it works, that the infinite all always has your back, always loves you. Love is always loving you. And there is never any judgment, never a delay. Love doesn't want you to wait. These are all ideas. These are all beliefs that we have entrained the individual ego-based perspective on very well, to the point where we tend to fight with ourselves in our own minds, right? And this creates so much internal confusion as well as conflict. Right? Conflict with our own truth, with our own soul. So this place here in the soul is the beacon of hope. It's your lighthouse. It's the place that we must return to. We must come back home to in order to end the confusion. It's this is the place where your light lives, and the truth is here. And as we know, is living in a very noisy and chaotic world around us can very much deter us from really getting to know this quiet place inside, really getting to know the great love that exists within us. We each have a well of great love that's just waiting to be given. It's waiting to be shared and to be expressed, to be fully expressed. So I've spoken about, the mind and its faculty, but how it tends to produce confusion, what that confusion looks like. But really, it's the fear. It's our deepest, greatest fears that keep us from truly surrendering to the great power inside here. This is a great power. I refer to it as a sacred power, and it is sacred. And that it really requires us to first of all, lighten our loads. Okay, you have to let go, get to know this place in order to truly surrender to self. We must let go, not in a sacrificial way, but in a way that minimizes the obstacles to truth, and it unveils. Okay, again, this is all about hiding. We're unveiling all the ways we tend to hide from the truth, all the ways we tend to hide from our very selves, that knowing inside of us, that light inside of us. So we tend, as humanity, tend to have many fears about love. And then, so we hide from it. We hide from it, and then we complain, I could never manifest a great partnership or the relationship of my dreams. Why? I promise you, if you start taking responsibility for your liberation, you will find out why. You will find the fears, because it will require you, this great ascension that we're in, to become the light, to become the love. It will require you to do the inner work. And I've gone through a lot. And as a healer, walking the wounded healer path is quintessential wounded healer path. I know this very well personally. There's no way in which my gifts could have awoken and could have activated, and no way this heart would have ever activated to experience such satisfaction and peace, and to have this expression be liberated in such a way that it could sing that out, it could express that out, it can just resound in this unspeakable, beautiful presence of love. And to witness the effect that has on others is always truly a sight for me to behold. It's always something that I learn from every single time. and I've been doing this for a while, but to see someone change their life, or to be moved, or to be inspired, or actually experience a spontaneous healing due to this sharing, the sharing of this pure, unadulterated sound of love, is a miracle in itself. It reminds us that we are the miracle, that we're all capable. We have the capacity inside ourselves to create. We can create a physical healing. That's what a spontaneous healing actually is. You spontaneously come into, the perfection that you are, because you've allowed yourself to completely shed in that moment all that gets in your way of that perfection being here right now. So your body knows how to do that. Your body always wants to be in perfect and complete order with itself. It knows how to get to that place, but it requires things. It requires the right conditions for it to get there. And so we create those conditions when we create harmony. Okay, first of all, energetic harmony, emotional harmony, mental harmony. This is energy. That energetic harmony has a great effect on our physical bodies. And the creation of that does, of course, help. It does help the body come into the realization of healing quite quickly. The sound is creating that space. Also, the sound itself, the purer that it is, the more consistent that it is, the more that it helps us remind ourselves of the purity and consistency that we are, that we come from our very origin, the divine origin that we are. Sound healing without the ego, sound healing is God's healing. This is a pathway, a direct pathway to experience God within us. And I've experienced this many times. It's just blown my mind. I've had to lose my mind completely in order to really drop into the body and feel God inside the heart. And it shifted everything I thought I knew. It challenged everything I thought I knew. So this process is of becoming love and light is a process of great unlearning. You see, it's a process of great surrender and letting go, and the preconceptions that we have, the beliefs that we have, and especially the judgments that we tend to produce and give as our expression to the rest of the world. This is not God. This is not God. This is mankind's experimentation with life. And it comes from its own fear of waking up. So if we can stop desiring the fully awakened state, if we can stop desiring to not participate in that, and instead keep experiencing life just to experience it and experiment with it and see where it goes. Right? I mean, one can do that. You have free will. But the more that we just participate in life from that way, we fuel the desire to stay asleep. And we are not truly living, and we're not living in our highest capacity. And we're certainly not living in our sacred power. We're pushing it away. We hide it, kind of like tuck it around the corner there. Sacred power? What's that? I don't know what that is. I've got this thing here, this life to live. And it's all right here, right? So those blinders are very convenient to have when you have fear of truly meeting yourself and how powerful you truly are. So we all have this capacity. It's not just healers, but the more wounded your life story is, the more that you've gone through, I find that you have more fuel to work with. The wound the wound is certainly why, many people are not able to manifest. Many people have trouble with meditation. Many people have trouble with exiting their mind so they can really be here in the heart and drop into themselves. And they end up beating themselves up for that, feeling really bad because they want the liberation. They're taking responsibility for it, but the tools they try just simply, are not really working for them. And that's because there's a wounding there. There's trauma. And therapy does help, absolutely. But the sound of love, again, heals all things. The sound of love is designed purposely to bring what is most wounded inside of us back home to wholeness. And that is the true meaning of healing. It's this process of bringing what is most broken back into wholeness. We are whole, each and every one of us. It doesn't matter how wounded you think you are and how you feel right now. You are whole, even in your tears, even in your loss, even in your grief or your anger. You are whole. But again, we forget this. Everything is a forgetting. Everything where we can feel the disconnection. We're not feeling good. We're not. We know we're not living right at our fullest capacity. That is the effect of forgetting. I promise you, I guarantee it, that you're forgetting something about yourself. You're forgetting about this. And that's okay. There's moments where, humanity forgets and we have a actually beautiful relationship with this forgetting. That's how we stay human. And in that forgetting, we realize what we forgot. You see, we start to value more and more and really appreciate the remembrance. So the goal isn't to stay in your remembrance all the time. Okay. We're not here to work hard at this. We're not here to, utilize the same consciousness that gets us into so much suffering, which is overextend, overgive, overdo, right? Overperform, overachieve. And that all stems from the wound. See, so our wounds, our greatest wounds, tend to reside here in the heart. And it's especially true with this paradigm of overextension. When we overextend ourselves, we are communicating specifically from the wound of abandonment. And that wound of abandonment likely started in childhood. And if not in childhood, then it's reinforced through past life or multidimensional activity. And it's something that the cells still remember. So that hence why we might feel certain feelings like I'm not good enough, right? When we feel I'm not good enough, we feel inadequate. And we try to compensate and we overdo things. We overperform or overgive or overachieve in order to win the approval or love of something or someone else outside of us, especially authority figures. So there are many ways in which, the energy I'm speaking about in this whole world of a wound of abandonment tends to express itself. And this is what I just shared, a very common example. And it's something that I personally went through as well. It's the reason why I manifested 4 chronic illnesses and managed to get myself back into wholeness and remembered how to live the life I'm meant to live authentically and freely. And that's what healed my body. So you see, it takes great responsibility, first of all, to really create the space for healing to happen for you. Okay? We have to create these spaces. And that's where we wake up to the realization that the world that we live in needs a lot of help in doing that. Okay, the world that we live in comes more so from this place of forgetting than it does from remembrance. And what our world look like if we started to remember, right? We started to remember. And of course, when we start remembering, we start appreciating love itself, as we start seeing that inside the mirror. We start seeing that in each other. We start seeing love in all things. And that's when we stop fighting with the world, and we stop fighting with each other, and we stop fighting with humanity, and we just start loving. And that love is the great healer. It is the great healer of our planet and of our world and of our time. And there is never any reason to lose hope about that. If humanity will ever, ascend to its fullest potential, that's not what this is about. Humanity is love. We are love, and we just forget. And what's nice about forgetting is that it's very easy to remember. When one is forgetting, the other can forgive, right? The other can forgive. So whenever someone is really acting out and offering a vibration from their expression that is truly one of severe forgetting, I just see it that way. And, I forgive very quickly. And that allows me to stay in a place of grace about the situation versus losing my power and giving my power over to the situation. Okay. Your capacity to stay present and to hold a space of grace for everyone and for yourself, especially, is an act of love. It's the highest act of love that one can give at this time. And, I'm using very human and grounded terms to share kind of in a way of relating, a way of relating how the frequency of love works through us. And it really is this simple. That the sound itself and what we can do in therapy is really quite astonishing. This is where it gets really hard to speak about. God's love cannot be fathomed, and it cannot be contained in our ideas or ideologies. And that's why so many of us are being called to release ideology altogether. That's why so many of us are being called into what we call spirituality, where we just understand that we are spirit, right? And there's not one form, technique, or philosophy that can contain that spirit, you see? And the whole goal is to actually release ourselves from the boxes and become one with Source again, to become one with the infinite all-knowing. And so that infinite all-knowing, and already is us and already lives inside of us, just needs us to do this inner work, to meet it halfway, right? To unveil, right? Unveil the things that are constructing the barriers to love. And so these barriers, sound offers the capacity to clear them quite quickly. This is what I've have come to see. It's really fun and cool when I see a sound that comes from God literally pierce through someone else's veil. And that piercing of the veil allows them to make the connection that their spirit is facilitating. Okay? So in these sound blessings that I offer, never in any way am I actually stepping in. Okay, the I, the me, is stepping in to orchestrate something. I'm not. What the I is doing is actually getting out of the way. And this being is allowing the presence of God itself to be the voice. So this is God's voice. It's not my own voice. And this means I must train my mind to accept in God's voice and to accept what it says, accept what tones it makes, accepts what sounds it wants to bring through. And in this, I assure the purity and the integrity of that frequency that's being offered is truly coming from this place of love and not from a distortion of my own, you see. So our ability to surrender and get out of the way of God's grace, get out of the way of the infinite all-knowing from doing its work through us, as us. This is what the conduit is. True healers are conduits. And again, it doesn't matter how much you've been wounded in life. I find that the most genuine healers are the ones who are the wounded ones, okay, the wounded healers. But we need the most healing. We need to be whole in ourselves. Yet again, we need to really walk the path of remembrance and reach much higher, raise our vibration much, much, much higher. And that's from the soul. Okay, we are here to raise the soul vibration so we can meet God and we can allow God to really sing through us. We know that we do this when we feel it. It's a feeling. And for me, when I first started experiencing the sound of the divine wanting to flow through my voice, it was hitting up against so many fears. And these fears were all very mental. I can hear the voice of those fears. And those fears said, you know, I don't know what to sing. What if it sounds horrible? I'm not a trained singer. I don't have any certifications in this. Who's going to believe me? You know, what if it's all wrong? What if I'm wrong? These were the fears. And you see, all of that is the ego expressing its insecurity. And if we go deeper than that, if we go deeper from, oh, okay, well, I see you, ego. Let me just put the ego away. No. If we actually go deeper than that, then we see the wound that's behind that, those voices, those beliefs, and those judgments. And I woke up to the wound that existed within the voice when I realized that this was all going back to me and my relationship with my dad. And when my dad would offer a really hard and aggressive, controlling demand on me through his voice, it shocked me as a little girl. And I was very, very sensitive. I already had a lot of oracular gifts as a little girl. I was already starting to hide those gifts because it wasn't really accepted or safe to be in that expression growing up. So you see how we create veils? My little girl was already creating these veils and learning and believing that it's not safe to be who she is and in her gifts and to be spirit in this body. So she started hiding everything that was spirit and blocking it away. And when, you know, my father was offering such a harsh frequency, it was like paralyzing to my sensitivity, my sensitive body. And so that little girl just created even more protection. And all those layers of protection build up over time into adult life. And that's what created a massive thyroid growth coming out of my neck. I had thyroid problems. Again, that's the voice. Okay. I also created a big shutdown in my heart. I had a heart condition at the time. And not only just physical, you know, chronic illness, but there was a significant disconnection from my voice. And I never liked my voice. I never liked singing. I never liked using my voice or being called to speak, especially in front of other people in a leadership role like public speaking. No, I was very much a shy person. So that shyness is the effect of protection, protecting ourselves from the pain of what we experienced as children. So I had to go through a lengthy, and it took about maybe 7 dedicated years, really devoted years of intense spiritual work and therapy and yoga and a whole holistic practice where I devoted myself to healing this father wound. And this is where the voice started to change for me. Okay. It started to change, and then my voice changed. And I suddenly found the courage to speak. I suddenly found the courage to sing. I found, even more important, the enjoyment of singing. And this brought me further and further and further into myself so I can meet the pain that was in the heart. This pain of feeling abandoned by my father, this pain of feeling like we're just worlds apart and the world itself is worlds apart from me. So it's this pain of separateness. And that wound of abandonment and separateness is quite common in many wounded healers. It's very common among sensitives who are, really quite proficient with energy, and you pick up energy and you feel a lot. So those who've gone through a lot in their lives, are you typically very proficient at hiding it and utilizing protection, constructing protection around your own heart field. So you don't have to process it. You don't have to feel it. You don't have to touch it. Therefore, you don't have to let it go. You could just stay there. And the longer that it stays there, the more that you essentially carry a really heavy rock around your ascension journey, where you're trying to reach for the light and to feel as light as a feather, right? You're trying to become this lightness, while also holding on to a boulder. And some of you are holding on to mountains. So this is just the reality of the wound. So you see, we have to accept responsibility for our great self-healing journey and dare dive deeply within to bring the light that we are to these places we have forgotten about, to these places we thought we've composed ourselves, we've contained, we've controlled. So it will just stay there hidden. The truth is, what is not seen doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That, again, is our limited thinking. If you think about it, the stars are shining right now. Even though it's daylight outside and I can't see them, all I see right now is the blue sky. Beautiful blue sky, sun, some clouds. But the stars are still shining. The stars are still there, existing. I just can't see them right now. We need to remember this about our own subconscious mind. Those wounds are still existing. Even if you can't feel it right now, even if you can't see it right now, it's there. And it's there controlling our lives. So the frequency of love is the love in each and every one. And it is the love that can pierce through the veils of our greatest protections. It is like an angel. Okay, it's your angel, your guardian angel. And it's just waiting for us to ask it to help us, to liberate us. But we need to recognize that it's not coming from an outside source. This love that I'm speaking about is beyond all concept. We must be brave to think beyond. Okay? We must be brave to have a really open mind and be curious to find out, what is this love inside of me? What is she talking about, right? How am I love? This is the great journey of realization, of realizing the self. And when we realize that this love is our greatest guardian and that we are guardians, then we start to see there is no difference. You see, there is no difference between us and the angels, us and God, us and all. Again, these are all ideas until you really feel it and experience it and therefore know it inside yourself. Once you know it and experience it inside yourself, there's no more separation, you see. The wound of separation is creating all these perceptions of the box. You see, it creates the feeling of aloneness. It creates the feeling of separateness. It creates this feeling of I'm so misunderstood and no one's never going to get me, right? It creates that language. But when we actually heal it, when we heal the wound of separateness, when we allow God's love in, then God can actually show us how we are not separate. So you see the learning process there. It's a remembering process. We're remembering, and we have these inner realizations when this happens. And when these inner realizations happen, that's wisdom. The wisdom heals us. Okay, the wisdom restores the divine perfection of our being. And so we start to feel whole, or we start to remember, oh, wait, no, I am whole. I can feel it right now. I don't feel the brokenness, right? And so it's not a perception shift. It really is a healing. It's a healing that takes place where there's deep level repair that's happening in your DNA. It's happening in your cells. It's happening in the waters of your body, the vibration, the programming that's resonating throughout your body. And your body loves it. Your body loves the healing. It finds the relief it's looking for, because that's the vibrational space it needs in order to become a vibrational match to itself. So when we do a session where this frequency of love, the God's love, infinite love can come through, for the practitioner that does this, we need to, first of all, realize that we do not do it from the paradigm of separation. We really come from this place of wholeness. So it really is your responsibility, healer, to heal that separation, to heal any place of abandonment. And our mother-father wounds are our greatest gift in that. Like, it's very common when I see clients and students that it's, they're holding on to either the mother or the father wound, and that's what's keeping them from truly accelerating and leveling up in their practice. So those wounds tend to be the gateway, you see. And when we go through the gateway, we then start to embody. And what we're embodying is ourselves. So it's an authentic, okay? It's an authentic realness that starts to come through you, and not, for example, the sound of angels. Like when people hear me in a sound healing ceremony, or when I'm offering a blessing, I often hear back from people that, oh, wow, this is the voice of angels. This is the sound of angels. And I remember one time that there was another sound healing practitioner who was just starting to utilize the crystal bowls, and she understood that the next level for her would be to start singing with the crystal bowls. And so she came up to me after she saw me do that, and she said, "Okay, so I just sing like an angel? Is that what you do?" And I laughed and I said, "No. It's not about following a form or a pretty sound that you like. It's not about making a certain sound or making a certain frequency. It actually isn't about that. This is about bringing through, as a hollowed instrument, the sound of Creator. And that comes from your authentic soul. You must first meet your authentic soul. You must first activate this in the heart in order to raise its vibration to a place where you can connect to that source frequency in a pure and undisturbed way. It's stable and it stabilizes you, and you're able to really hold that. presence in a crowded room full of people who are processing and releasing their chaos. So to make an angelic sound is just performance. Performance tends to be the thing of ego. You see, that has to do with the I, that has to do with an individual, that has to do with an identity. But when you are a conduit of God, you are not an individual, you are not an identity, there is no I anymore. You have allowed yourself to take the back seat and be curious, a curious witness to what the divine has to offer. And so in these sessions that I get to witness, I literally take a back seat and I witness the sounds that come through, and I allow these sounds to come through. And I do my best to skillfully navigate the voices that can come up in my own head that want to judge the sound, that want to direct the sound, that want to tell the sound what to do. This is like trying to play God. It's like trying to tell the all-knowing how to heal. It's trying to tell the all-knowing, hey, you're making me uncomfortable, so let me try to put you on a lower volume. Hey, you're making me feel uncomfortable, and let me try to do something with you, right? This is the product of the mind in its wounded state, in its insecurity, in its disconnection from the all-knowing. And that's why we must love ourselves back to wholeness. If the healer does not learn to love itself completely and fully, it will not realize itself. It will not awaken fully to its the full capacity here that I'm speaking about, the capacity for you to really hold a presence for others, such that they can heal more directly, more quickly, to have spontaneous healing. This is to understand that love does not hold expectations. It doesn't judge and it doesn't fear. Our minds do that. It takes an individual to be afraid. Okay? It takes an individual to be afraid, but the ocean is not afraid. The infinite all is not afraid. But of course we are. And so can we hold each other? Can we hold yourself in that place of love so you can let go of those fears, and so you can empty, become more of a clear vessel for the sounds of love to come through you. And that is all that I'm doing. Sometimes it really does sound angelic. Other times it sounds very shamanic. Other times it sounds actually quite ugly and not so pretty. And I just have to allow, because it's not a performance. I have to allow the great love of Creator to come through. And even if this, the sounds in my voice aren't trained musically, it's okay. It's because we're not here to make music. We're here to allow and to play with this voice of God, you see? To allow it to remind ourselves, to show us what this is about. So this has become my own practice. This has become my own meditation. And it's not only, an offering to others to help facilitate and their own healing process. Again, these sound blessings don't do anything to you. They do not activate you. They do not, that it's not me clearing you. It really is your own resonance, remembering the resonance that's being offered. And when those two meet, there's an entrainment that happens. There's a raising of vibration that happens quite naturally, unless you're fighting it in your mind. So when we do surrender and allow first of all, it takes a lot of courage. I hope you celebrate that and congratulate yourself when you're able to really drop in and let go. Then we can go on a journey, right? On a journey into learning directly from God itself, from learning directly from this frequency, and letting go of what isn't, right? What isn't love, and what is ready to shed and to pass, to let it transition now and go on its way. That is what a sound blessing is. That is what it offers. It's coming from an authentic expression that is of my own, okay, of my own soul, due to the soul work that I've done. And through the opening of my vessel, through this work that I've done, I'm now able to be a conduit, okay, and allow this frequency to come through without claiming it for myself. Okay? I don't need the credit. I don't, I'm not here to claim God itself. This is just God speaking, and it's going to say things that I might not even, fully remember. It just comes out. So it's not like channeling, but I guess in a way it is. I mean, we're bringing through something, but as sound healers, we know exactly what it is we're tapping into, and that is our origin, our source of origin. That's what this work is all about. We just go straight to our source of origin, and we connect with that pure, loving frequency that heals all things. That is what I teach, and this is what the healers of our world can all become. And again, our wounds are our greatest gift there. They are fuel to catapult us to great heights where, this doesn't have to be insurmountable. It doesn't have to feel like you'll never get there because your wound is holding you back. Okay. The wounds have great potential to alchemize and become actually your a great asset to your ability to hold a presence, to have a capacity that is unwavering and particularly helpful for the world we live in right now, which really needs a lot of love. It needs a lot of calm. It needs balance from the feminine and the masculine within us. It needs true healing and not a performance, not more of the ego, but it needs this. It needs true presence.